a hospital overrun with spores, a son sealed away to die, and a revenge that goes through hell. Today, you'll relive the most tense and brutal sequence in The Last of Us. The mysterious survival of Han Rahan is the starting point of the narrative, which quickly delves into the interrogation of Officer Park by her leader. Park, tasked with the dangerous task of inspecting the ground floor of Lake Hill Hospital, one of the first pillars to succumb to the voracious cordyceps infection, recounts the challenges she encountered. The cleanup of the 1st through 6th floors went surprisingly smoothly, with few outbreaks of infection. The real obstacle, however, arose when descending to the basement, an area divided into 3 levels. The first of them was desolately empty, with no sign of life, not even rodents. The complication arose on the 2nd level, where Leon's team reported an overwhelming proliferation of cordyceps on the surfaces, indicating an imminent infestation. The second radio contact was alarming. Leon's voice, breathless and barely intelligible, uttered the words, "It's on the air, lock them down." Understanding the gravity of the situation, Officer Park complied with the urgent request, immediately sealing off the ground floor. The tragedy was intensified by the revelation that Leon was her own son. Meanwhile, Dina was busy devising a meticulous plan to reach the confrontation zone between the Seraphites and the wolves. Aware of the overt surveillance in the area, she knew that the task would be arduous. Dina demonstrated her strategic acumen by analyzing the map in detail and intercepting the wolves' communications. In doing so, she discovered the existence of 2 patrol lines, one to the north and one to the south, and, crucially, a gap between them, a long building that appeared to be uninhabited by soldiers, probably due to the high concentration of infected. Traversing this building would position them strategically behind the northern patrols, just 500 meters from Lake Hill Hospital. To their surprise, they even discovered that Nora was supposed to be located on the 1st floor of the hospital. Ellie, surprised by Dina's knowledge, inquired as to the source of her information. Dina explained that the wolves are careless with their communications, acting as if no one can hear them, a behavior she attributed to the Seraphites' aversion to modern technology. On the way to the building, the protagonists came across a shocking scene, a group of Seraphites brutally massacred by the wolves. The sight gave Ellie pause, questioning the wisdom of taking Dina on such a dangerous mission. It was then that Dina revealed a painful fragment of her past. Before arriving in Jackson, she lived with her mother and sister in Santa Fe. Bored with the relative safety, one day she grabbed a gun and went exploring. Upon returning, she found a looter who had taken the lives of her mother and sister. Using the weapon she was carrying, Dina eliminated him. She used this story to emphasize to Ellie that if she had not faced the stranger who destroyed her family, she would have relentlessly pursued him to the ends of the earth. The same determination drives her search for justice for Joel. After the intense conversation, the action finally unfolded. Upon cutting the chains that protected the mysterious building, the duo noticed the lack of surveillance. The vastness of the place, the open doors and the apparent lack of infected intrigued them. Aiming to cross the building to reach Lake Hill, the girls advanced cautiously. The absence of infected persisted for quite some time, but that would change drastically when they reached an abandoned warehouse. There, Dina spotted a Seraphite split in half and, upon illuminating the place, they noticed the presence of a stalker, identical to the one Ellie had faced in an abandoned mall. Ellie warned that, although she had defeated the previous stalker, the battle had not been easy, resulting in a fall and a bite. As they pondered how to deal with the infected, another appeared, and upon looking ahead, they noticed the presence of at least 6 of these creatures. Aware of the imminent danger to Dina, Ellie instructed her to run to a fenced area while she distracted the stalkers. Ellie underestimated the ferocity of the creatures and, after eliminating one, she already had 3 more on her. When the end seemed inevitable for the protagonists, a figure emerged from the shadows, eliminating the beings one by one. Ellie managed to focus her vision and recognize Jesse, who had arrived to save them at the crucial moment. The commotion, however, alerted the wolves, forcing the group to take refuge inside a park. The most curious thing was the whispering of the wolves, who avoided the place because they considered it dangerous, choosing to wait for someone to leave through the entrances. When the situation calmed down a bit, Jesse revealed that he had arrived with Tommy, but they split up in the city to cover more ground. Finding them was a mere coincidence, as he had found the map Dina had left at the theater. After congratulating her on her excellent triangulation and reprimanding Ellie for exposing them in such a way, the tension rose. The Seraphites' whistles alerted them, and from the shadows, the group witnessed that these individuals were not victims. They had a wolf in captivity. Despite the stranger's attempts to trade his life for information, the Seraphites ignored his pleas, brutally hanging and dismembering him. The situation became even more complicated when Dina's leg was pierced by an arrow from the Seraphites. Ellie asked Jesse to take her to a safe place while she tried to buy some time. Running through the forest, dodging arrows and listening to the threatening whistles, Ellie found no other alternative than to hide in the hollow of a gigantic tree. And by an incredible coincidence, when she emerged from her hiding place, she came face to face with Lake Hill Hospital. Despite the intense surveillance, capable of detecting even a cockroach, Ellie managed to infiltrate through a conveniently located hole. Knowing that she needed to act quickly, Ellie entered the first floor of the hospital and unexpectedly found herself face to face with the long-awaited Nora. Ellie asked if Nora remembered her and, upon realizing that she did, quickly asked about Abby. Instead of answering, Nora began to utter words that were clearly intended to hurt Ellie, commenting that no one should have witnessed what happened to Joel, that at night she could still hear his screams, causing her insomnia, but that, in any case, that son of a had gotten what he deserved. Nora took advantage of a moment of distraction to run through the place, but, unfortunately, she ended up in a dead-end hallway. With no alternatives, the wolf had no choice but to throw herself down the elevator shaft, which collapsed, taking her directly to the second basement floor. Ellie was forced to go down, pursued by the surveillance. Advancing cautiously through the place, she discovered that the walls were completely taken over by cordyceps, and the most terrifying thing was seeing two people embedded in the walls, emitting spores from their mouths. One of them was Leon Park, the son of the officer we saw at the beginning of the episode. Ellie found Nora a few meters ahead, already in a stage of panting, caused by the inhalation of the spores. "You're stupid," said Nora. "Don't you see that now we're both infected?" The curious thing was that Ellie seemed unchanged. At that moment, Nora realized that Ellie was the immune child, the one from the legends, the one from the Firefly Hospital. This information would be of no use, because for the first time, and as it should have been since Joel left, Ellie entered her vengeful mode, asking again where the hell Abby was. Despite being in her final moments, Nora remained loyal to her friend, but her loyalty would be tested when Ellie picked up a metal tube and, remembering Abby's actions, beat her out of her confession. The scene cuts to some point in the series' timeline. Ellie wakes up in her bed, in a moment of peace, and none other than Joel Miller enters through the door, ending the episode. If this journey full of twists and turns and emotions kept you hooked from beginning to end, don't forget to leave your like to support our work. Your subscription is essential so you don't miss the next stories and analyses we're preparing. And of course, we'd love to read your comment about what struck you most about this adventure. Thank you very much for following along. See you next time.